All right, what's up, good people? Welcome to the podcast, Conscious Connections. I'm your host, Nicole Blackson. I have the lovely married couple, Cobbina and Roberta here. Welcome to the show, y'all.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have y'all. I'm going to give you one breath, and then I'm going to go in. What does it mean to consciously connect?
Well, that's how we connected, actually. Because when we both met each other, we were both kind of like in transition where we knew what we didn't want. So we led from there. Like I led like, all right, no relationship right now, strictly platonic. So just consciously. And then we were also celibate and Christian. So like those three things were like conscious. Like before him, I literally was like done because I knew what I didn't want. So I was over it. And then he came, I was like, oh, all right. Well, he's in with what I put my mind to, what I focus on, what I really prefer. So I don't know what you think.
I mean, just piggybacking off of everything that she said, I was, one of the things that I have on my jacket is I was married before. So very much of what she was saying, where I knew what I didn't want. Right? I knew that I didn't want my next relationship to kind of like end the way my previous relationship had ended. She kind of struggled with this, but I felt seasoned or a little bit older, and the term boyfriend girlfriend I just was like, nah, I'm not doing. So I remember telling her like, I don't want to have a girlfriend. I want to have somebody who I'm dating exclusively, a fiance, and then a wife. And I remember she kind of was like, well, what does that mean? I don't understand. And I just conscious about what I felt like I needed at that time. And, and she kind of like went with me on this ride, and, was it 12 years now, right? 12, 9 married, and 12 together. So, Yeah, so that kind of leads me into my next question of just like, how did you consciously prepare for one another for this relationship? I know, you said Christianity came up, celibacy. What are some of the other things that you all consciously did to really prepare for this union? Yeah. So I'll take the lead. Like I said, I was, with having, unfortunately, like divorce on my jacket or whatever. I think that relationship kind of prepared me for this again, because I knew what I didn't want. A lot of reading, a lot of kind of like, I didn't even realize that I was doing like self-work, but I had kind of started to go out like during that time when I got divorced was like the first time that I actually started to go out by myself. I had been so accustomed to doing things in community, right? Just, okay, I go to the movies with my lady friend. I go to the movies with my homie. I go out for drinks with my homie. I actually, during that time from the divorce to when, I met Roberta, I actually got a chance to go for walks by myself, go to the movies by myself. I was actually uncomfortable like the very first time I was in a movie, because I was so conditioned to do it with somebody, even though you're supposed to be paying attention to the movie.
I always think that's so ironic. And if you can't eat, take a smash, go to the bathroom by yourself, right? And the movie, because you ain't supposed to be talking anyway.
You're not supposed to be talking.
It's really a solo activity.
But it was so weird, like the very
like
first
just
time.
try doing those things by yourself, because it's like, as a parent, you got kids, so you might not be in the bathroom by yourself. Y'all might be in there together getting ready, eating. You do that communally. Can you go out to a restaurant and get something to eat?
It's like I said, the very first couple of times it was uncomfortable because I was conditioned this way to always do it with somebody, right? And it didn't always have to be like on a relationship level, just your friends, whoever. So I think like when you said that, or going back to your question, I think I did a lot of self work, right? Of just finding out what I enjoyed by myself before I decided, or we decided, to be in relationship with each other. That was like something I did.
I think that self discovery is so important, but also, isolation comes up to me, I don't necessarily want to use that word because it has a negative connotation, but I do want to say, like,
solitude.
Yeah, finding that solace and solitude is so important before a partnership because you really do get to know yourself, and then you should be okay with yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think, I remember when, that's something that I'm working through with my daughter right now, right, is there's words, right? And I guess you can kind of get into semantics of words, but they're different words for different reasons, right? Isolation does have, a negative connotation to it, but solitude, it looks the same, but it is different, right? Hence the reason for the different word.
Yep, absolutely. Roberta, what about you? How did you consciously prepare?
During that time, I was like mid-20s, transitioning to mid-20s. So during that time, typically everyone's kind of just doing self-discovery. So like that was the place I was in. I was going to different classes. I was going to salsa dancing by myself. Just into the church, I was doing like different Bible studies, reading different books, doing like silent, no talking fast. So it was like a lot of stuff I was just doing to I guess, redefine who I was in my adulthood. So that's how I kind of define it. Like, okay, I know what I definitely don't want. I'm at this age, I'm experiencing these things. So I know, kind of have a feel of what I would prefer. So, I was just committed. I made a commitment to that. I remember the point where I was just like, you know what? I was counting my numbers, people count the numbers, how many people has been in your bed. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go over another number. So I'm just going to be celibate until the next person is committed. Meanwhile, I'm going to commit to myself and just know what I have to offer and kind of just define it. And that's the place I was in. So that when I met him, I was like, okay, I see who you are. I see who I am. And I was able to know what I was willing to do, who I was willing to be, and where I was willing to go and how far I was willing to go when I met him and we started dating. Yeah.
I want y'all, I'm a book reader, right? So I want y'all to tell us some of these books, because you mentioned books, reading books and not knowing that you were doing that. You mentioned books and Bible study. What was some of the information and knowledge that y'all got? Share with us. We might want to get into it.
I remember, obviously, James Baldwin. I actually am revisiting that book right now, The Fire Next Time. So but again, this is more of like self-work. Right? But there was also another book that we started reading when we
That's what I was going to talk about. Which is odd now. Boy Meets Girl.
Okay.
Joshua Harris.
Okay. Boy Meets Girl. And the reason why she's saying is kind of odd is because he has transitioned. He has left the faith. Yeah. So at the time, he was writing it as a pastor of a church, and just because we were both on the same page as far as like, like I had referenced earlier, in the sense of like relationship, like no boyfriend girlfriend thing, but just kind of courting. Is what he talks about, but with a purpose. Right? We're not just kind of like wasting each other's time here. So that was more of a book that we read together. I'm a huge Chinua Achebe. I know there's different pronunciations for it, but Things Fall Apart was like one of my favorite reads, I think, during that time. I'm trying to think what else was I reading. Pastor Eric Dyson has a book, Restored Manhood. He's actually a pastor here at Epiphany Church. Okay. So that was another book that I read, where he, kind of talked about manhood, just biblical manhood, and just some of the understandings that that I was able to apply came from that book. So that was a good read for me during that time.
For me, before him, it was Queen Afua.
Okay.
Feel Thyself. That was like my Bible. Yeah. And then before Evelyn was Fixing People's Lives. I was reading her books. So it was always like and While You Wait type of book. So just kind of giving you tidbits on how to just focus on yourself and things to just highlight and enjoy that time. So I think like that was like my source of like, I'm gonna just go out here and enjoy life, and I'm not waiting for anyone. I'm just gonna go. Like before I met him, I was making sure I was on a trip for every birthday, or you know, like I was going salsa dancing. I didn't need anybody to go with me. I would just go. And like these books are things that was just like, just enjoy being a woman. And so it was for me.
Yeah, you both just mentioned kind of, you talked about Eric Dyson, just about what it means, excuse me, to have a biblical manhood, and then you talked about what it means to be a woman. So when you were talking about, both y'all were saying how y'all were both celibate, because I feel like now we're 2022, it's like, be free, you know, explore own your sexuality.
And no shade on anybody.
Yeah, no shade. However, you know, there is another part of that when you experience that and you're not really getting the full experience that you want, right? You give it and you share it, but you're not getting, they're not coming back. The dividend's not coming back. You're putting out more than you're getting back in return. So you find a way to really like reverse that equation. What was that like during the actual courtship?
Well, the book helped us. Boy Meets Girl. One of the key things that helped us out was it talked about making rules and creating boundaries for your relationship based on you knowing yourself and your flesh. So, like, I knew what got me hot and bothered. So I'm like, okay. So, or we would learn from it. We would learn what got us. So we knew if we was kissing too much passionately, then we knew we might slip up. So we had to like put boundaries. We had a curfew.
Yeah.
It was like we had to be out of each other's house. Yeah, it was.
Because now, because it's like we adults, it's like,
we do like little pet kisses.
But that's the innocence of it, which I think is the beauty of it too.
But I think the most important thing that kind of like came from that was that it kind of like forced you to really get to know. It forced me, well, I'll speak I statements, right? It forced me to really get to know her in a completely different way, right? So that going back to that conscious connection, like, I obviously, you know, I think my wife that was the first thing that I noticed, right? It's her. I think she's beautiful. I think, you know, I always said that, you know, she was dark skinned with brown eyes, and you know, I just was like, oh, I got to meet this woman and find out all about her. But I think because we put those kind of like boundaries, I think rule again, right? Going, like, words have connotation to them. So rules as opposed to, you know, boundaries, I think is more applicable in this state where it's just like we know. We're putting this thing
and even
because,
standards.
Standards.
Because y'all kind of came in.
We like, came up with them together. You know, where it's just like from experience, we was just like, okay, we know what we want to do, so let's put this standard in place to where you agree on it, I agree on it, and we know that, okay, we don't want to toe that line because we want this to be different than any other relationship that we had in the past. So, like I said, looking back at it, I felt like it was kind of like childish, but it definitely, what it did though was it forced us to, you know, play games with each other, you know, like we would read books with each other, have conversations, go on hikes and, you know, like the stuff that you're supposed to, well, not, I won't say supposed to be, but getting to know the person, you know, and not in this intimate way, you know, or in a more intimate way, not sexual.
Not just physically.
You know?
So expanding upon the book, Boy Meets Girl, how did y'all meet? Roberta, you can tell. Now let Roberta tell us because she made this face.
We always have different.
Oh, I want to hear her version first.
Yeah, there's always this. Her version is my version,
so
and
with
there's the
me,
truth. So
we met because we met. He social conscious rapper.
Okay.
Was what I known him to be.
Okay.
Well, actually, hearsay, because I went to an event to support one of my salsa dancing friends that was also a rapper. He was going to his open mic event, and then one of my girlfriends knew of his group. So I'm like, some group called Society Park is having an open mic, but my friend's performing, so I'm going to go. And she's like, Society Park is hot. That's crazy. I want to go. I'm like, all right, sure. So we went. And it was really nice. And still wasn't checking for him.
Yeah.
You know, my friend ended up knowing his mother. So his mother is there and like they're talking and we're just standing there on the side. And
so pause real quick.
Okay.
So no. I just think that this is so funny.
Where different,
just a different perspective, and then you pick back up because I really do believe that we were kind of like meant to meet because
Absolutely.
My mom never came to a show before that.
That's what I was saying. Your mom come to the shows?
Yeah, so my mom was doing like at the time she was doing vendoring. So like this open mic event was like, oh okay, you know, you come see the performers, there'll be vendors there. So my mom was like, okay, I'll come to the show because I can set up a table.
Right.
Like I said, my mom never came to a show before that, and she never came to a show after that. Right, so that was like weird in and of itself because, like she said, the friend that she came with knew my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So they were chatting. I was, as he said, I'm like, oh yeah, she was selling earrings. I was looking at the earrings, trying to stall time, and he was just standing there like, oh well, let me introduce myself since they're rude and they're not. I'm the host of this event and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. So then afterward, I initially wanted to connect with him on MySpace.
This is where we differ. This is where our stories change.
Go back.
With MySpace.
This is where our stories change a little bit.
Let me finish. Thank you very much. MySpace, because he was this host of this event. So I was like, oh, he must know events. So New Year's Eve was coming up. So I'm like, oh, let me hit up this guy. We went to his event. Maybe he's throwing an event or maybe he knows people that knows the event. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, of any events? And he like, no. So then he like, well, you know, if you don't find nothing, why don't we like get together, you and your friends and my friends? I'm like, nigga, I don't know you. No, that's weird. So I was taken off. Now go ahead.
All right. So and people, like whenever we tell people this story, they always make fun of me and reference like Biggie, like, why don't you get some of your friends?
Yeah, with my friends.
We can be friends.
Right.
So to me, she's leaving out a very important piece, right? So it was New Year's. It was like a New Year's.
Which is a big holiday.
Right? So she was asking me like, yo, what do you know about like, what's popping for New Year's? So I was like, all right, I think I sent her some events first. I sent her maybe like 1 or 2 events, right? But I mean, to me, like, you don't just go around just like hitting people, like random people up. Like, so I was like, oh, all right, well, shorty probably on me. Like, that's what I thought. Like, I don't think I was, and to even further this point, because I'm like, we 12 years in now, so I wasn't off, right? Shorty was on me.
Right.
Like, so she hits me up or whatever. I think I sent her maybe like 1 or 2 events or whatever. And I was just like, oh, yo, like if you don't find anything, maybe like you can bring some of your friends. I'll bring a couple of my homies or whatever. Maybe we just go to like a local bar. Because to me, it's always like, because it was New Year's, I was like, yo, like if she corny, I'm already with my boys. We can go bust like some other moves, and vice versa. Like she already with her girls. Yeah. If I'm corny, you can just make up like some excuse as to why you don't. You know what I mean?
Meanwhile, like, I'm over here like stranger danger. No,
I'm not meeting you in a public place with my friends and your friends.
No, like
that's what I was saying.
Push us into a van. No, thank you.
To me, it was very relaxed, right?
Yeah.
I felt like it was because there's no pressure, right? You with your girlfriends already. If we corny, or if you're not attracted or whatever, you're already together. Like, you don't feel the need. Because like I said, it wasn't like I was saying like, oh, come to my house or something. It was like, nah, we figure out somewhere.
And it definitely would be creepier.
Yeah, like, we go somewhere, like maybe something that you already, a spot that you already hang out at, that I'm familiar with, or vice versa. And we just go there, see what's what with each other. And if we're not feeling each other, we get that out the way, and then we can go enjoy the rest of our
So what happened on New Year's?
Nothing.
So we didn't wind up. We
didn't get together, but we ended up scheduling something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, well, my next day off is New Year's Day," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I have a dinner." And then we can go and like meet up afterwards, which is a big deal. Who goes out on New Year's Day?
Yeah.
So like I was just like, okay. I remember journaling like, so this guy asked me out for New Year's Day. That's kind of. I'll talk to you later, journal, about that. We'll see how this goes. I was a big journaler at that time. That was my best friend.
Yeah.
That pen in that book. So yes.
And funny thing about it, and she brought this up when we came to the Conscious Connection,
the launch,
the party.
Oh yeah,
was Hezekiah was actually having an event. He used to have an open mic on Baltimore Pike, and that was our first date. And I think Hezekiah.
He was just introducing himself, and I was like, "Oh, I know you." We actually,
I know Hezekiah much longer than she has, so I didn't realize he was introducing himself to Roberta.
And how I remember him is like, "Oh, I went to your jam session. It was dope with him for the first time."
And
he was like, "Oh,"
and she put that. I had totally forgot about it. Yeah, but she put that together at the Conscious party.
Yeah. So we are family.
Yeah,
we are family. Yeah. So I want to know, what's the tea? What did Mom say? When mom was there.
What your mom really wanted.
What?
What did she say when y'all were at the event together? She was vending.
Oh no! So it wasn't. So
did she notice anything?
No. So this was actually funny enough. That's what you were referencing. So we were sitting there, right? All of us were kind of like standing there. I was standing there with my mom. She was standing there with her friend, and my friend and my mom were talking. So picture. Lynette, right? So Lynette and my mom are standing here, right? They're communicating, talking. And then me and Roberta, so I'm standing behind my mom and Roberta's standing behind her friend. And they were having like a long conversation. Yeah. So me and Roberta were just being annoying, like, "Oh, hi, my name is Roberta. Since they not introducing us or whatever." Right. So we that was like the thing that we were like, kind of like tickled by or whatever. That's how we started talking to each other. But my mom actually wanted me to date Lynette. She felt like Lynette was more. I don't even know what my mom would even say.
His mom is like pro-black, Afrocentric, and they was in like one of the temple pass-up classes.
Okay. Lynette and my mom.
So like she know her on that level, and she's like, "Oh, she would be perfect for my son. She's chocolate, she's into the things that I like."
But Lynette is lighter than you though. I think, right? But it was funny, right? Because my mom never like said that to me. She never said like, "Oh, I got this woman that I want you to meet from my past F class," or anything like that. She said that to me, I think, once me and Roberta had started dating for a while, or she could tell that it was getting serious. And she just like I think we were out to breakfast, and she was like, "Yeah, I actually wanted you to end up with Lynette," and I was like, "That's random."
Yeah, but I mean, she was instrumental.
Oh, 100%.
So your mom was on point with something.
Yeah.
And then brought you to the one. She wasn't the one, but she brought you to the one.
Exactly.
So that was good.
My mom never came to a show before. She never came to a show after.
Right.
So, it was definitely, I feel like we were kind of like meant to be for that reason,
So what was the time when you all both decided that, all right, we're going to exclusively date? How long did it take after that first?
I was waiting for him, actually. But again, with our boundaries, one of the things was that he wanted to kiss. And I was like, well.
You want to see if it was good?
I was like, we just had different perspective of kissing. Like, I was like, if I'm kissing, like, open mouth kissing, that means we exclusive. Like, but if you dating other people, then no, we not doing that. Yeah. So, like, I set that tone. And then it was still, like, when he was ready, we had a conversation, like, all right, so I know I'm not dating anyone else. Oh, actually, we had that conversation after our first slip-up of our celibacy. We slipped up.
How many slip-ups did y'all have?
We can probably count them on like one hand in the 4 years.
Okay.
But we had slip-ups, and the first slip-up was when we kind of had the discussion and decided on being exclusive, because he was crying, I was crying, but he was crying for a different reason than I was crying. I was crying for my celibacy. He was crying because he was dating someone else that he was just with previously. I found this out later.
No. I think so. She thinks that I was like intimate with like her and like this other.
You were. That was the thing.
So
I'm gonna put him out there right here in the mic.
I can put
yourself out there.
Yeah,
Let us know.
Out there.
Set the record
straight. So like it was. So Common has said, I'm going to quote the great prophet Common.
Wait,
right?
what did he say?
What he said.
That's my guy, too. What did he say?
Or how about Bill Clinton?
No. Bill Clinton. Common said it. Like, I just got head. I wasn't really cheating. I forgot the way he said it.
It was some head. I wasn't really cheating. The Faithful song. But you know that's the song though. Faithful. That's the title of that song. Well, Faithful.
I mean, at the time, I felt aligned with that.
Because he was in tears.
I mean,
he felt guilty.
That's so funny. That song moves me so much. It's so funny that you bring that up because I cannot really wrap my head and heart around why that song moves me so much. I think just because the idea that this man is saying that he wants to be faithful. Like he really wants to do that, but he recognized that there are some things that have gotten in the way of that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's because he's a man and seeing him vulnerable, but it's common. We've seen him vulnerable other times, but that song for me is like, I just be feeling it. It's like a sermon unto itself. I don't know what it is. So it's funny that you bring that up. Let me ask this question. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that y'all had to let go of to be the best partners, the best spouses for each other? And when did y'all recognize that, like, I got to stop this? I don't know if it's the petty. It could be whatever it is. When you realize, like, I got to let this go. Otherwise, this is going to be the detriment of this.
So one of the things that we say right now, like whenever because somehow or another, our relationship and, our marriage is like representative to like our community and our friends, right? So we tell our friends like if you're gonna be in a committed relationship, it's basically just trying to find whose ish you could deal with, right? So I think that was a thing for me that I had to do. The thing I had to let go of was trying to be perfect, right? Trying to being more vulnerable, like you led to, right? Trying to be, I forgot what comedian said it, but like, you meeting the person's representative, And I think, as men, as black men more specifically, we have like this idea we need to be like the best version of ourselves at all times for our partners. It's like sometimes you just got to be real, especially with your partner. Yeah. Like I can't front for her, right? Yeah. And I remember that was like the biggest thing that I had to do. The biggest thing is like stop trying to be perfect. Tell her, have conversations with her, let her know where you're struggling at, where we struggle at right now even. I think that's another, misnomer or whatever. Everybody wants to talk about like their mistakes or different things like past tense. It's like, no. I love her. I'm committed to her, but we still doing, figuring stuff out right now. Yeah. So that was like the big thing for me was trying to not letting go of this idea of who I am. Yeah. So I can be really who I am. In our relationship. Yeah,
I think most of relationships, the individuals are really unlearning things. So really letting go of those ideals. And you talked about being like kind of programmed, right? To be in a certain way, doing things a certain way. So I think most of it is about you unlearning, shedding, and realizing like that's not really,
and patient
who I am. Yeah.
And being honest and real with yourself about that. Because like that's one thing. Like he said, we always tell other couples or singles like you have to be willing to accept whoever poop. They're going to have poop. Yeah. Whoever you decide to commit with, they're going to have poop. Yeah. And being willing to accept it, knowing what you can bear and how much you can bear. That was the one thing that defined for me, for him, like, I'm going to do this with him. Is that in the beginning, like he said, he has divorce on his sleeve or back or whatever.
The jacket.
Slang. He always had a slang. I'm trying to keep up. He has it, and like that was the first thing. Like, well, I never dated anyone that was divorced, and not having patience. It would have been like, oh no, I'm good on that. And I was like, since I haven't, let's see what it brings. Yeah. And who he presented himself at that time was like, I'm willing to kind of see what else that will bring. And also because of who he was, I was willing to be patient through whatever baggage that showed up as well too, because I saw who he was and was like, he's worth it. He's worth it. So yeah, patience and knowing your own will. Because I know people always come to us and they talk about all the baggage. I'm like, okay, everybody's going to have baggage.
Right.
So you just got to decide what baggage you willing to help them carry.
Yeah, that's like the Bob Marley quote. Everybody gonna hurt you. Yeah. Everybody gonna bring you pain. You just gotta figure out who's worth it. Like, yeah. And I think that's just a part of the human condition. And we don't want to accept that. It's not, it's April showers, bring May flowers. Yeah. So it's gonna rain some days, but it's necessary. So I definitely think that you gotta decide what you're willing to deal with. What's the thing that y'all have experienced the most that one or the other person does, and it's like, you get on my nerves with this? And paint a picture for us. Put us in the room.
I'll let you go first.
I'm gonna let you go first. That means you already know she got something.
Yeah, I know she got. Cause I got a bunch of stuff, right?
I know. It's just like,
it's just a matter of which one she gonna pick.
Which one? No, I'm just gonna use the one that kind of piggybacks to make him more annoyed. So my response to what he does. So y'all are witnessing it. He's a storyteller. Like he has a lot of details in it, and I oftentimes will interrupt him or like get to the end because like I know the story. Like, come on, you said, can you just get to the point? And he's like, I'm not done yet. Can you stop interrupting me? You won't let me finish? And I just like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
God. So like just in public spaces, people will always catch me like on the side, like.
Because we've been together 12 years.
Yeah,
you heard all of my things.
And he say it like it's the first time every time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, did I tell you? I'm like, yep. You want me to tell you that?
Oh, at least he's asking a question, because it happens to me, and it's never a question. It's like, yeah, I remember you told me, and then you have a yellow skirt,
he's
and then
stop the story.
Exactly.
Look, it's new to somebody in the room, right?
Yeah.
Who hasn't heard the story? So I gotta, So for me, for her, I always, she's a very much ask for forgiveness,
that's right,
and not for permission type of person. I think I think through things a little bit more than she does. She's impulsive, so it can get frustrating sometimes. Like, but she's consistent, right?
Yeah.
So I can't think of any particular instance, but very much, and it kind of gets me uncomfortable. And she knows that too, because she's just like, all right, let's do such and such. Let's go here. Let's, like she's cutting like I actually hits me. Yeah, here we go. Sixers. So so like she's like we went to the Sixers game, and she's just like, oh, it looked like we can go over there. I'm like, babe, everybody's stay in line. She would rather get up to the line, get up to the front, and have them turn you around than be like, I'm like, babe, obviously everybody here is like, waiting to do the same thing, But that's her. She's very much ask for forgiveness, don't ask for permission.
Yeah.
And that's a little uneasy for me because I'm not that. But on the flip,
follower, very, and I'm all like, come on, let's just go.
Impulsive. Yeah. But then on the flip side, right? There's certain things that obviously, because she's like that, it does work to our benefit.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's almost like she kind of like drags me along for the adventure, because she's being impulsive. And there have been a lot of instances where it's been that, So, it's frustrating, but then I realize that it can add excitement and enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doing that.
So you mentioned the word forgiveness. What are some of the things, or what is one thing that you had to forgive one another for that we could learn from today?
That's heavy. What did I have to forgive?
That's why I put the quiet voice on.
Yeah.
I'm all like,
Yeah.
What did I have to forgive Roberta for? I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. I'm sure it's something.
I'm thinking of like just consistency as far as just like in long-term marriages or relationships, you're constantly have to apologize for something. You said something wrong and that hurt my feelings. Your perspective, for me, to him, it's always like his perspective. I'm like, your perspective hurt my feelings. That's hurtful to me. And he's like, well, it didn't change.
Yeah.
So like, it's nothing specific like, I need to forgive you for it, but it's just like understanding that the perspective that he might have of me or something that I did can be hurtful because that's not how I see it, or that's not how I perceived it or viewed it, or that wasn't my intent. But just being open to having that conversation and knowing that it's not malice there, and knowing that it's in love, and that's a conversation he always have to me, because I'm the emotional one. I'm always like, you that hurt. It makes me feel like, you don't care. And he like, but what was my intent? My intent is never malice. It's never to hurt you. It's always through love. This is first. We're first. And I'm like, well, it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And so just kind of like hearing it and keeping it in mind whenever you're going through something that's hurtful, because you are going to go through something that's hurtful. They're going to say something or think something, but just always kind of keep in mind, like, they love me. We in this together. And keep that first. Yeah, kind of gets you through the forgiveness. So, like he said, nothing specific, because
I can't really think of it. But I think she does touch on a big topic, which is just like forgiving her for the hurt that she's doing unintentionally, right? And I think it can be very, very minute things. I don't think of it.
Can you give us an example? I think we all understand the concept, but just for context.
So like for instance, I'm trying to think of the last thing that I felt hurt by.
Like decision making and things like that.
There it is. So something that I feel like she might challenge, like, my decision making. It's like I'm making this decision, right, with you and our daughter's best interest at heart. And when I say something or make some type of suggestion, if she's like dismissive to it, it's like, for me to even present it to you, best believe that I've done my research. Yeah. I've looked at it from all these different angles. So I'm not just bringing it to you like, oh, babe, I want to just do this. I've given, thought to this decision that I'm making. And when she, like I said, when she is dismissive of that, me kind of like taking the leadership of certain things, I think is hurtful. But like she said, we try to communicate. We have one of the things that we were able to kind of like unpack through conversation is the fact that she just isn't. She's going to press me on certain things. Yeah. So I essentially. So if it is, I'm challenging you on this decision. I told her to just, okay, all right. Well, if you do, let's actually present it to me like, oh, okay, what exactly about it? Because best believe that I'm prepared too. Yeah. Don't just be dismissive. Like I hate being dismissed. So I think that's, again, we are still having conversations around that topic. About her being dismissive for the decision making that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that when you put two independent people together, right? How do we work together? How do we become interdependent? Not codependent, but interdependent. And what does that look like when one of us is taking the lead? Yeah. There's going to be some submission on either way, some patience. So I think that's a great example of how it's like, when you do that, but we got to work through it. You all mentioned your daughters. How old are they?
8 and 4.
8 and 4. Okay. So they're still pretty young. How is that navigating, I'm going to say past your intended courtship, but your marriage, which I'm sure you're still very conscious about. How do you navigate keeping your own romance, the nucleus of your own relationship, and being parents?
So I would take.
It's hard, and he normally have to take the lead, just like you're going to take the lead for this question.
Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna quote another one of my favorite groups, Kindred, right? Soul Family, right here in Philadelphia, right? And I remember first hearing this song and not really understanding what Fatim was talking about. So on the song Far Away. He acted, it's the first line in the song, right? Not getting no ass unless the baby sleep, right?
Even then, we got to creep.
We got to creep, right?
Absolutely.
So I remember them performing at the Black Lilies.
Yeah.
She wasn't even in the view at all. And I remember listening to it as adults now, and I'm just like, wow. Like,
some real shit.
It's real. It's really real.
Yeah.
And I think it's conscious of making sure that they're, obviously they're being tended to, they're, they're getting taken care of, whether it be, auntie who's watching them right now or a neighbor or something. As long as they're okay, then I feel like it does give us like the ability to enjoy each other.
Yeah.
I'm probably worse than she is as far as, or I'm not as good as she is as far as like making sure that I'm setting up like, okay, we still got a date. We still got to go out. And I feel like she's more conscious of it. So
I mean, no. You most of the time he initiates the dates.
Okay.
And it's like, because I'm managing all of our other lives and plannings and things like that, and he'll take the time. So it comes two ways. It's either we just had a big fight and we're just not seeing eye to eye, and we're just walking around not talking to each other, and he like, all right, we need a date.
Yeah.
Or
so I can fall back in love with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's just time. It's we have to make some time.
Yeah.
We haven't, he gets it when I'm like trying to steal small moments. Like he's like, oh, I'm going to run an errand, and I'm like, oh, I'll come.
Yeah.
Or like I'm at work, we're working from home,
yeah,
and I'm just happy to be in the living room with him. Like, and he's like, but we're just working, or we're just home. And he's like, all right, let me just go do this woman a date.
Yeah.
Because she's like all up my butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like just small.
So that's
things.
why I would say that she's probably better at it, or I'm worse than her.
Well, you take the hints. As long as you take the hints.
Yeah, I guess that's it. That's it.
You follow through. Yeah,
she lets me know, and then, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just be. It's like it's almost like you forget, like you take it, like you think like the marriage is just going to take care of itself. Like, oh yeah, we married. She going to be like, nah. It's like, no,
this is a self-cleaning machine.
Yeah, like it's like it's just going to take care of itself. And it's like, nah, you really have to.
I got a whole commercial in my head, like a whole infomercial. Welcome to this self-cleaning machine we call marriage. Like it's like, and it's just not what it is. Yeah, you wish. You
just really, really. I get wrapped up sometimes in work and.
Yeah, absolutely.
And other things that you just be like, oh, wow, okay, all right. It's been 2 months since we've gone out. Yeah. And she'll let me know too, because I know one of the things that I'm notorious for is it's almost like I almost kind of like check the box. So we'll do like some family thing, right? Mm-hmm. We'll do a family thing, and I'm like, all right, cool. We just spend some time. And she like, nah.
No.
Yeah, we didn't spend time.
Always been like that. Yeah, that was one of the things he'll always say. Because in the beginning, I wouldn't date anybody that had children. Because I'm like, I require a lot of time, and I don't want to share it with your child.
Yeah.
Sorry, nope. I don't want your child in the car with me. I don't. No, if you got a kid, I'm good on that. So I let him know this early. So I want my time.
Yeah, even with our kids, they gotta go.
Now he's about to show you how
I'm about to tell you the story because Nicole doesn't know the story, so I gotta tell her, right? So,
but it implies even with our own children.
Yeah. So I remember one time, right? She was able to. She had maternity leave, but then she actually wound up getting laid off, which is like a whole nother story. But whatever. So she had a lot of time with our first daughter, right? So our daughter was maybe 8 months, something like that, 8-9 months. So she went to go get her hair done, right? So she got Roberta went to go get her hair done. So she got some style or whatever, and she's texting me. She was like, oh, babe, I got this different style or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, take a picture. Let me see it. So, but she had my daughter with her, right? So she takes a picture.
That's right.
But she has my daughter like on her knee, and like she had like set her up in a way to where my daughter, I see the back of my daughter's head like hanging out of the picture. And I was like, I responded, I was like, babe, like it's okay And her response, I said, it's okay if Selah was in the picture.
This ain't about her.
That's exactly what she said. You asked to see me. So, and that let me know the type of woman that I was. I should have gotten a clue.
Yeah.
I should have read the cues right then. That
what they say, when they tell you, believe them, right?
Yeah.
When
they show you who you are, believe them.
Exactly. Yeah. I should have picked up on the clues that, okay,
this is serious.
I wouldn't be able to just pass off like family time as like our time.
Yep.
You know, and I was befuddled by that. I was like,
but we
I think it's hilarious.
Because
our oldest knows. Our oldest knows, mommy, daddy, it's time for y'all to go on a date.
Yep.
I'm like, it is. You believe so too?
Absolutely.
Well, you behave well so we can go on a date and don't call me, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few more questions to wrap up. When is the time that you both felt most connected to each other?
You want to go first? Or? I could. All right. So I got, and this is more of her story, but I felt connected to her by her sharing this because I didn't know this when it was happening. So when we started dating like early, right, and we were, like I said, we were both kind of in this weird place of like we knew what we didn't want, right, and I wasn't sure of myself about my ability to be loved, right? I felt like after one of the things that happened after the divorce was I felt like almost like I wasn't fit for female consumption anymore, right? So I remember one of the things that she said after the fact in conversation with somebody else, right, was that I wanted him to feel like he's worthy of being loved, right? And when she said that, again, I think at this point we had been dating, or we were in like an exclusive relationship when she mentioned this, and it made me kind of like go back and think like, oh wow, that's what you were like working towards or doing.
She saw you.
You know? Yeah, she saw me. Yeah. But to say that no, you are worthy to be loved. And even to take it like a step further where she says that she felt like she was crazy for this, but like even if it's not for me, like it's almost like she was filling me with you are worthy to be loved, even if you don't ultimately decide that it's with me that you want to, be with, so
that was equally the point. I remember because I remember journaling my boo, and I was like, yo, that's crazy, you signing up to be a rebound chick, like, and I remember saying that, and I was like, oh, you must love him, like that must be it for you to just be so out of yourself, to give in and be there for like someone else regardless of you. So like in that point I was like, okay, this might be it. And this is just, like I said, patience at that point, because we were still kind of just working through our own baggage with each other. But at that point, that's when I knew like, oh, this is something.
Yeah, I truly believe Maya Angelou says love is freedom. And that love that you had without attachment, right? I'm giving you this. It's not just because I want you to give me something back or that you have to, but that I'm really loving you for you. And you can do with it whatever you choose to. So before we sign off today, what is a tidbit of advice you would give to our listeners?
I answered the first question first, so now you got.
Well, we gave a lot of bullets today.
You did, but I want you to kind of tie it in together.
Say together, and this is anybody that'll talk to us. Know patience. We talk about having patience with that spouse and knowing who you are and knowing what you're willing to accept. Because, like, people ask us for advice all the time. I'm like, look, we can't tell you what you are ultimately willing to accept. Like, I can say, no, I'm not. I wouldn't be with him. No way, Jose. But if that's within your will and your power, you need to be confident in that. So I always tell people, like, you really need to discover who you are, how you are, and, like, what you can be before you are willing to, like, really be in a committed relationship. Because all of that is a part of being in a committed relationship, and being able to be clear and communicate clearly. Because we talk to a lot of people. I'm like, why you ain't just speak up? Why didn't you say that? Or why didn't you really tell them like what you want? Like we were clear.
Yeah.
But we started in the beginning. This is what I want now, and this is what I'm open to right now.
Right.
And that's it. Or it could be more. So communication, being patient, and knowing who you are and what you're willing to consume, and your boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are exactly the same things that I was going to say. I think,
the question is, do you have a song to relate to that?
Oh, a
do I have a song?
That's the question.
Ready for love.
That's her favorite artist.
Yeah.
Why are you hiding from me? I'm not. I don't hear the voice, but
That's why I feel you though.
India.
Energy.
No, that's my girl.
Yeah.
She can be a soundtrack for anything. Do you have a song, Mr. Music? Rap?
I mean that
You've been dropping lines.
I know, right?
I mean, but I can't think of. I think a song that just embodies all of that. I mean, I think of. One of my favorite songs is Nina Simone, "Misunderstood." That's probably my favorite.
I would ask, because one of the things we would do sometimes when we would be on dates, we would say, "What would be your album, the name of your album, or the name or the cover of your book?"
Right.
So what would that be? What would our album? That's old. That sound real old, saying the album.
No, I got you though.
What they say.
The what album?
Yeah.
I don't know what they say now.
Project.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's all right.
Because albums, because it's almost like you got to go with the person on everything. I mean, maybe something like Lauryn Hill, Miseducation,
It was in a classroom setting. Remember the little interludes classroom setting they was teaching? They was talking about love.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, because that's what you're doing in a marriage.
Yeah, you learn.
In a committed relationship, you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
Like you're always learning. He said something before. I'm like, I didn't know that. See, this is why again me pressing him, and he like, why I gotta explain it? I'm like, because without you explaining it, I wouldn't have been able to connect with how you feel, and then honor what you're saying. Because other than that, it's just like, oh, this just whatever. So
yeah, I think you talking about the
closed door. The locked door.
She got a bad habit.
Locked doors.
She got a bad habit. Nah, so my creative space in the house is like in the basement, right? Where
me too.
Kind of like go to do whatever. Yeah. And she parks in the back, so she leaves like not wide open, but she just doesn't lock the door. Right? And I had asked her several times, like, babe, can you lock the door?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm coming back. It's like
that's her thing. It's like, I'm going around this area and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I asked her several times, but then there's one time I asked her, but then I told her like, because when you don't lock the door, it makes me uneasy. Like I'm not comfortable. I mean, just some things that have happened like in my life prior, just like that idea of, and I mean, we're in a good neighborhood, so I don't think it'll happen, but I am still, unfortunately, who I am, right? So I'm just not comfortable with the door being unlocked.
Yeah.
And when I was able to tell her or communicate to her, not just please lock the door,
right,
but please lock the door because when it's not locked, this is how I feel. She has it, and she told me, she said like, I didn't realize that's what it's doing to you,
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, sometimes
communication's impatient, because he was still irritated. Like, why do I gotta even tell you that?
I was frustrated, but again,
but you notice you never gave it a full context.
Exactly. Yeah. I had to, but again, right? I mean, unfortunately, the way that I was conditioned, like, it's like you don't really talk about feelings per se. You just talk about like, this is what it is, So, communication, I would definitely say is key. Like real communication, not just like communication for the sake of communication, but real communication, and then find out whose crap you can deal with, and just be committed to each other. Like, don't be fake about it. Like,
commitment with limits. And like when I swore off men and was just going to go to a sperm donor, it was because I was like, I wanted that like commitment, that unwavering commitment love. Yeah. And I'm like, with a kid, I'm gonna get that. With a man, I don't know. With a spouse, I don't know. So I'm gonna just get me a cat, and then when I'm ready, go to a sperm donor. So like commitment, like full commitment, without boundaries or limited boundaries. Because I know people, you're gonna have your boundaries, and that's important.
Right.
But,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because it really does just imply full acceptance of the other person, but first and foremost, starting with yourself. So thank y'all so much for your time today. I appreciate the talk and all the lessons and the tidbits. I was taking notes. Taking notes. Y'all enjoyed yourselves?
Absolutely.
We did. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Y'all, that's Kinds Connections. I'm your host, Nicole Blackson, signing off.
All right.